What can we expect from Storm Eowyn?
Well, just to give you some breaking news, the entire country of the Republic of Ireland has now got a red warning for Friday, or part of. So Carlow, Kilkenny, Wexford and Waterford have now been added. You might have some people happy at home, Kieran, to hear that.
I have two people happy, Alan, one unhappy.
But yeah, so it's a red warning for all counties, all 26 counties now. This, unfortunately, Kieran, is looking like the worst case scenario. It's looking like the worst storm in possibly, my living memory. Some of the weather charts look more severe than Ophelia. So that's just to give people an indication, I suppose, of how serious we're looking at here, because the weather charts have been very consistent in showing what we would consider over the top in terms of, you might see the odd weather chart show wind speeds of over 170 kilometres an hour on the west coast, but not kind of continuously. So the high resolution weather model charts now that Met-Éireann will be using are showing gusts in an excess of 170 kilometres an hour on the west coast, and inland in some parts of the areas like Galway, into Roscommon, Mayo, Sligo, Leitrim, possibly over 150 kilometres an hour, and widely over 130 kilometres an hour right across the country from late Thursday night through early Friday morning up to Friday lunchtime. Now, it will move quite quickly, Kieran, is the good news.
Okay, so it'll blow over the country relatively quickly, but by Friday lunchtime, most people will be at the other side of it, will they?
The north will still be in it at lunchtime, so probably by 5 o'clock, really, we'll have kind of gone through it. But we're looking at, predictions of like worse power outages than what we've seen from Storm Dara, which we had nearly 400,000 without power. We're looking at people being without power for a number of days. And one of the concerns I have looking at the weather models beyond Storm Eowyn is on Sunday we have more strong winds, not to the same extent, but that could hamper, repair works and people trying to get power back in DSB and, open air and broadband and things like that. So it is going to be a very challenging few days ahead, and people really, really need to heed the warning. This is not just another storm.
Yeah, some gobshite's going to jump into the sea in Salt Hill. But anyway, that seems to be par for the course whenever this happens. Schools will close, though, and businesses will close and public transport will shutter. I mean, these are all the things that happen with red warnings, isn't that right?
It is indeed. Now, as I say, the warnings begin at different times and end at different times. So it is worth checking met.ie for your own weather warning for your own county. It is still a county by county basis, so it does change. For example, in Grey Cullen and Carlow here, we were wondering earlier, you were allowed on one side of the bridge but not the other. So the status red for all counties at least clarifies that type of local situation. But it still does change that it'll end at 10 o'clock in one area, midday in another area.
Alan, listen, thank you for that. Alan O'Reilly from Carlow Weather. If there's any update, we'll bring it to you